Hey guys, time to get in on the action for the biggest moments in basketball with Prize Picks, America's #1 fantasy sports app. Just select 2 or more players, pick more or less on their projections, place your entry, and win up to 100 times your money. Right now, Prize Picks will match your first deposit of up to $100. Just download the Prize Picks app and use the code GET100. That's code GET100 on Prize Picks for a first deposit match of up to $100. Prize Picks. Pick more. Pick less. It's that easy.
Paid for and presented by Tony Mart Presents. The opinions expressed are not those of Town Square Media or station advertisers.
Hey, how's everybody doing out there? Welcome to Tony Mart Presents music, food, fun, travel, and community professionals. And talk about travel. We are insanely traveling from Tucson to LA, to Amsterdam, to Bergen, Norway, where we're going to be getting on a 12-day cruise of the Norwegian fjords with 8 blues bands, 4 blues duos, and about another half dozen blues performers, including Kid Anderson, the great guitarist from Rick Estrin and the Nightcat. Many of you have seen him play surf music on the on the beach and on the boardwalk. Truly one of the greats. Anyway, I want to start off again by saying happy birthday not only to my phenomenal wife and the producer of the Summers Point Beach concerts, the Atlantic Care concerts on the beach, which, by the way, start June 14th with a great, really hot national touring act that has never been in South Jersey before, a group that is very much like Tedeschi Trucks, and they're doing extremely well with that sound, and it's Bywater Call. For those of you who know New Orleans, you know that a section of New Orleans is called the Bywater. This is a Toronto big band with several horns, big Hammond B3 organ, great vocalist and guitarist, who are the center point, very much like Susan Tedeschi and Derek Trucks. And that's how we're opening the Summers Point Beach concert. But happy birthday today to the chairwoman of that committee who works tirelessly to put that together, my fabulous wife. I knew I was getting a great wife. I didn't know what a great producer I was getting. She is just incredible. And, you know, a man could not hope to be blessed with more than that, but I have the Grizz, Terry Vizzoni, who is my old college friend from way back here in Pima College in Tucson, and she's celebrating a birthday too. And so together we're celebrating before we all leave Tucson. She's going back to her other job in the fashion business in Chicago, but she'll be in Jersey for the summer. She's smart. She knows the best place to be is on the boardwalk and the beach. And I want to wish both Nancy Marotta and Terry Vizzoni heartfelt. I love them both so much, and my wife is just the best. I hope to all the young guys out there know me in a marriage like I've had for all these years. So let's talk a little bit about how special this all is. I don't want to reduce it down to, okay, when's the schedule? What's happening here? What's happening there? This year, we have made this thing really very special. Now, we are waiting. Let me make this very clear, and let me thank the people in Atlantic City, the Marty Small administration, all the people in the administration, the police department, and the CRDA people on the ground, and the CRDA people that are facilitating all of our applications. We were granted preliminary approval, and we're hoping to have final approval in less than 2 weeks on the 16th of April. And that's when everything we're talking about in Atlantic City goes hard, as they say in the financial business world. And until we get there, we're going to hold off on out of respect for the process and all the great people who take such good care of us. We're going to hold off, but there are some things that we want to talk about centering around Summers Point. And also, for the first time ever, we're going to be doing Cape May. And they are really wonderful. There is a woman at the Cape May Convention Center. If anybody knows her, tell her how much we love her already. I love this woman. I haven't even met her yet. Her name is Nicole, and she's been taking such good care of us. On the 29th of July, Monday night, we will do our first show ever at the Cape May Convention Center. And it will be a full-blown ticketed production of the Tony Mart Legacy Last Waltz. And we will do that show in Summers Point as part of the regular beach concerts on the 26th of July. For those of you who know me personally, you know, we're getting around my birthday. I usually celebrate at least 30 days, and that's smack dab in the middle of it. So we have a legacy to this last waltz, which is unique and very much our own. Because when Levon and the Hawks left Tony Mart's and went to Woodstock, Newport, they're doing a movie about Dylan in Newport. The folk festival in Newport, and of course, part of that's going to involve Levon and Robbie Robertson, because they left in '65, went with Bob. That's what Levon used to always say, with Bob. And 11 years later, Martin Scorsese made what I consider to be, along with Woodstock, the greatest music videos of all time, The Last Waltz. And The Last Waltz is not just about Bob Dylan and the band. It's about all of the guest stars, the people who absolutely loved the band and Levon and the Hawks. For instance, Eric Clapton, who, when he saw the band, went back to England and got Stevie Winwood and said, we want something with more depth, more texture. And that's how Blind Faith was born. Of course, Dr. John was always a part of it. The New Orleans Southern sound was never far from the band. They did a lot of New Orleans stuff. Alan Toussaint, of course, with all the horn arrangements. And there are a lot of people in the movie that you're going to... Bob Margolin was with Muddy Waters, the guitar player, the famous blues guitarist, now steady rolling, Bob Margolin. He will be on the beach performing The Last Waltz. And this is something that has never been done before. And we have taken this now, not stepped it up once, stepped it up twice. We are so far into the legacy of what makes us great. And by the way, speaking of great, we are hoping and praying that we get nominated. We'll know later this month if we get nominated for the USA Today poll for the #1 outdoor concert venue in the country. And honestly, I believe that if we are nominated, and if you are kind enough to vote us in again, it's because of what I'm talking about right now. And we are going to have Everybody Loves Johnny Santone. He is going to be a part of that. He's, a lot of these guest stars are doing things like Bob Margolin with Muddy Waters. And I'm talking about people like Dr. John and Eric Clapton. Van Morrison does one of the greatest videos of all time. In fact, it might be, go get The Last Waltz. It's either free or $3. Martin Scorsese's movie, and see Van Morrison. It's beyond belief how great he and the band and Robbie and together, Ricky Danko and Van Morrison up front. It's as good as it gets. It's just as good as it gets, And the star of our show, in addition to Bonarama's great Mark Mullins, okay, in addition to Bob Margolin. In addition to Johnny Sanzo, who's going to play the famous harmonica player from the movie, and also the Honey Island Swamp Band, which is the young band that reminds us of the band of Levon and the Hawks. In addition to all of them, we have a bona fide rock star, and that's Dave Malone from the Radiators. For those of you who know New Orleans music, who have been to Jazz Fest, who have been to the festivals all over the world, internationally, California, throughout the South for a long time, the Radiators really are the number one rock and roll and fish head funk band in the last 40-plus years of New Orleans rock and roll history. Dave Malone is the front man. Dave Malone is one of the great songwriters, one of the great singers, one of the great guitar players, along with his buddy Camille Badouin. They have played for us before in Summers Point, and we're going to have him on the show today, and we're going to have a little time to talk with him about his career and what it means to be coming to Summers Point and living this legacy with us on the 26th of July. This is something, like I said to you before, in my opinion, with all due respect to Cafferty, who I love like my family, Tunes and Cafferty, this is the other part of the Tony Mart legacy that is one of the things that we can claim, and no matter what, if there's a music person around and you start talking about this, they become awestruck by what happened here. I was 9 years old when Levon and the Hawks played. And I want to say that we have a lot of other things this summer. Last summer, I looked at if you look at the schedule from the beach concerts, when we won number one in the country, the schedule was awesome beyond belief. The incredible Gary U.S. Bonds and Cafferty did an opening show. This year, Cafferty is going to do the 4th of July show for the first time ever. And also this year, so we're going to have the Eddie and the Cruisers on the 4th of July. And also this year, something totally unique, especially for country people. A lot of people have been asking for country. I'm not a huge country fan, but this is Cajun country fiddling and Bourbon Street entertainment, the unique and best in the world. And on Mardi Gras weekend in Summers Point, the 5th, Friday, the 5th of July, after John Cafferty plays the Eddie and the Cruisers concert on Thursday, the 4th of July, we're going to have Waylon Thibodeau. And in addition to Waylon Thibodeau, who you will love him, anybody who wants to hear the real deal Louisiana Cajun fiddler, this is the guy. He was in Tab Benoit's Voice of the Wetlands, All-Stars, and he is considered one of the most popular and one of the greatest of a guy who worked for 30 years on Bourbon Street, okay? So this guy, at Toulouse and Bourbon for all those years, knows how to entertain the crowd, and he'll be entertaining in Summers Point, not only at the beach concert on July 5th, but at Jersey Gumbo on Monday the 8th. This year I've arranged to have him and Ben Levin and his New Orleans piano sounds. And also on the beach Friday night, we're going to have Danny Iyer performing. And also on the at Jersey Gumbo, we're going to have Billy Walton and Destiny Monroe performing as part of this big package. We just call it was an idea that Janice Johnston and I came up with last year, because we do so much Mardi Gras. In Atlantic City, we do Mardi Gras, but, my father used to say Santa Claus on the 4th of July. Well, we're going to have Mardi Gras on the 4th of July on Friday the 5th on the beach and the 8th at Jersey Gumbo. So we're looking forward to interviewing today for most of the show. Truly one of the greatest and biggest names. It is a huge thing to have Dave Malone come and perform for us in Summers Point, and I want everybody to mark down the 26th to see that show, The Last Waltz. It'll be over 2 hours with all those people on Friday, the 26th of July, when it's best. There's no place better than the Jersey Shore in July, right? We don't want to be here in Tucson. Dan's just walked over here, and I want to talk about some of the sponsors that make this happen. First of all, Rich Gerber is just such a great sponsor, supporter, and also a great wine connoisseur. And we enjoy doing the wine thing, and we work with Chet Malloy to enjoy some of the great wines that we get from Circle Liquor. But, you know, for almost 50 years, Rich Gerber has been the really premier financial advisor, and he has Gerber Insurance, and Rich Gerber has these products called MIGAs, and the MIGAs are multi-year guaranteed annuities. And right now, there's no question that rates are going to stay fairly high for some time. I mean, they may come down some, but nobody's predicting or giving advice based on the movement of interest rates or what the Fed is going to do. But we do know that you can contact the MIGAs, and you can contact Rich Gerber at 609-653-9100, and you can make an appointment to meet with him, talk with him over the phone. He's right in Linwood on Central Avenue, and he's got not only the MIGAs, he's got the different annuities and all of the different items that are available. And he will sit with you and talk with you about your family and about what it is that you need, what the grandchildren need, what you can do to help everybody, or just set up for yourself, especially if you're in your 50s and 60s, doing the things that you need to take care of yourself and be all set so that you can let the good times roll, go on the blues cruise, the Big Easy cruise, come to Tucson, or enjoy yourself in Florida, and we can really enjoy life together, let the good times roll. Call Rich Gerber. He's a great guy. You can talk to him about wine, but most of all, you want to talk to him about MIGAs, multi-year multi-year annuities, guaranteed annuities, not adjustable, guaranteed, fixed, locked. And Rich Gerber can do a lot for you, and he'll be very helpful for you. And we want to thank Rich Gerber, and we're looking forward to having him on in the spring to talk more about these products. And of course, the other sponsor that is just our huge benefactor is Circle Liquor Store, and we are very, very grateful to them for being so helpful and so supportive of us. And I really am grateful. The Circle Liquor Store takes care of everybody. They take care of everybody. If you're having, events, problems for people trying to raise funds for people who have problems, they're always willing to give something. And they do give and give and give. Give to the community, give to Summers Point, give to the Tony Mart Cares Cafe for Mardi Gras AC. And they really do so much. And I want to thank them. And I want to say to you that, you can really enjoy yourself there and go and see the people there. Chester Malloy is really smart and really helpful, knowledgeable, recommending all kinds of great wines. And his son now, we call him Chet Light, Tim, is also very helpful. And so is JM, the big guy, Jordan, the craft beer guy. Jordan tells me that they have over a dozen new craft beers and microbrews every week coming in. They're getting all the newest cocktails in a can. They're getting everything that the producers and distributors can possibly get to them, because Circle is so powerful and so important. And we're again very grateful to them for all that they do, whether it's the good old days or the concerts on the beach in Summers Point. Thank you to the Circle Liquor Store. Please go over there and make yourself take advantage of over 200 bourbons, a huge selection of single malt scotches and whiskeys and rye whiskeys and rare whiskeys, which they can order for you. And of course, the wines, unbelievable. The wines, the blends. Last night we had Bodyguard from Dow. Chet can get you that. Wonderful from Paso Robles. Or now we're going to have Phantom. I didn't even have a chance to talk about Phantom Blues Band, but we'll talk about Phantom, the wine blend. And we also will mention, before I bring Dave Malone on, that the week before we do the last waltz, and I know, Dave, that you'll get a kick out of this. We have no less on that beach Taj Mahal's Phantom Blues Band with Curtis Salgado in a rare headline tour together. Phantom Blues and Curtis Salgado coming to the beach. So you're going to be primed up pretty good the week before you get there. Everybody, I can't tell you how proud at Tony Mart's we are to introduce one of the greatest Americana fish head funkers and rock and rollers we have in this country, Dave Malone. Dave, thank you so much for taking the time to do this.
My pleasure, Carmen. I'm glad to be here. Thanks.
Oh, we're glad to have you, my friend. So tell us a little bit about the Radiators, how that came together. When I walked into Tipitina's and saw you for the first time, my reaction was just this, Dave. Oh, I see. This is the rock band. The Nevilles are the funk band. This is the rock band.
Yeah, that's pretty much it at the time, yeah. Well, myself and Reggie, the bass player, were in one band called Road Apple, and then Ed on piano and vocals and songwriting along with me, and Camille, the other guitar, and Frank, the drummer, were in another band called the Rhapsodizers. And we were all kind of not 100% pleased. I'm trying to be kind here with the band we were in at the time. So we decided, Ed invited us all to come over to his little garage recording studio, not a studio, just a space. So it just dawned on me that we actually all are a real garage band. And no kidding. So we figured, Reggie and I figured, okay, well, we'll go over there. We knew those guys, but had not played with them much, and certainly not under environment where we could actually talk about the music and talk about the songs and such. So we figured we'd just go over and play for a while and drink some wine and do whatever kids were doing then, and have some fun. And so we went over to Ed's house on Waldo Drive near the University of New Orleans, and we just started jamming, and it just felt right from the very beginning. It sounds cliche maybe, and probably not cliche enough, because I don't think it happens to people often enough, that we finished and we're looking at each other like, oh man, is it supposed to be this easy? Never been this easy before. And it just felt like it felt right. So that was the initial get together, drink wine, do whatever, hang that lasted 4 hours instead of 1 hour. And then so Ed decided that he would we got together very soon after that. And Ed decided his master plan was he was going to bring an original song of his that he knew for certain that his then band could not play. So he brought in a song of his called Red Dress, and I immediately started playing made up this guitar figure, and that became Red Dress, and we fell into it almost immediately. And so we all said, okay, we got to do something about this. And we all quit our old bands and formed the Radiators, which we weren't named the Radiators yet. Reggie came up with that name later after us exhaustively coming up with these really stupid names. And that's how it all started.
Right. We just got a call in from a guy named...
Am I supposed to say over when I'm done talking?
What's that?
Am I supposed to say over when I'm through with my...
No, I just want to tell you that we're getting calls in saying quaint things like too stupid to stop, okay? Because people are listening to you. And it's Dave's birthday? It's your birthday today, Dave.
No, it's not. The internet has lots of incorrect info, in case you were wondering.
Okay.
My birthday, it's interesting. My birthday is August 29th, which is the day that Katrina ate New Orleans.
My God.
Yeah, I got a terrible birthday present that year.
Holy mackerel. Well, so what you're talking about there, where you were incubating in the garage with the wine, New Orleans style, that was late 70s?
That was January of 78.
Right.
January 28th, to be exact.
Oh, okay. So let's just skip ahead. I want to talk a little bit, Dave, about how this phenomenon occurred, because you guys were really one of the first jam bands in the sense that you propelled under the radar. You never signed major contracts. You were always supported by and made famous because you are a very famous band in much of the country. But it's not a mass media fame. It is a subterranean kind of underground fame. How did that all evolve?
Well, I mean, there's this notion of word of mouth, and we were accidentally brilliant in quite a few ways. We did sign with a major label later, Epic Sony, and put out 4 albums for them. But when we started playing, our regular gigs were such that we already had a bunch of local fans who were a bunch of derelicts, but the nice kind of derelicts. And they encouraged us to do whatever we wanted to do. There was no, play this. They wanted to see what we would do. So we would try all kind of stuff. Originals, we got to use them like gigs like Luigi's and the Dream Palace as a musical science lab, if you will.
Right.
And they loved it. And those people this pizza joint near UNO, near Ed's Waldo Garage, called Luigi's, is our regular Wednesday night gig. And our fans wanted us to try whatever goofy things we wanted to try. Goofy, maybe not the best word. Adventurous, let's say. But they were goofy. So we did that, and then that gave us carte blanche to just try anything. And we gave people permission from very early on to start recording all of our shows to these cassette recorders with the mics up on the stand.
Okay.
Kind of like the Deadheads did, I guess.
Key. That's a key part.
Well, it's also key. That was key for the New Orleans and Louisiana and Southern, contingency. But what really happened was we hooked up with Tulane University and Loyola to a lesser degree and played a lot of their free Friday concert events, a lot of them, right on the quad of the campuses. Right. And so people were recording our shows, but that year's seniors would bring these tapes home to their houses in Chicago, Miami, New York, New Jersey, Minneapolis, San Francisco, Seattle, wherever, and play them for their friends there and their siblings, so that when we eventually would go on to these areas, this bunch of kids already knew our music.
Right.
So grassroots, tape trading, and that was the equivalent of social media then. And we didn't know what a big impact it had until we started going to these towns, like going to the Lone Star and seeing in New York and seeing the line around the block, and we're like, what the hell is going on? And then we figured it out. Tape traders were as passionate about the trading as they were about the music itself, and maybe still so, probably. I don't know. Anyway, well, that's how.
The music is very unique, and I love the fact that you're the only group that really has their own genre, fishhead funk. There's a few other groups that kind of are identified with a certain nuance and whatever, but the Radiators are fishhead funk, and the Radiators have produced some of the greatest rock and roll music in the perspective of the New Orleans sound. That's to us why my brother was here, Dave, on Easter Sunday, and Tony and I are looking at each other and saying, oh my God, we have Dave Malone, we have the Rads. What's better than the Rads? And that's really because of what you do with the sound, and of course all the great composition that you have, and then of course the uniqueness of Ed Volker's sound versus your sound. And then, as I always say when I used to introduce you two together, you and Camille Baudouin. How did I do with the pronunciation? Okay, Baudouin.
Baudouin. It's Baudouin.
Baudouin. I never get that right.
Baudouin. Yeah.
You two
Everyone gets that wrong, Carmen.
Yeah. You two are the greatest 1-2 punch since the days of Dwayne Allman and Dickie Betts. I mean, it was just an incredible thing. And what I love about it is we're not talking in the past tense. You're going to be on that stage. I'm so proud that we're going to have you after you perform with Joe Bonamassa and Bonnie Raitt at the very end of the Jazz Fest. It's just a shame that you're opposite some of the greatest bands in the world, and nobody's happy about that, right? But
yeah. Well, that Philly stage, we closed that stage for 35 years at Jazz Fest until we announced our retirement in whatever year that was, 10 years ago. But now we're playing third to last. It would be us, then Joe Bonamassa, then Bonnie Raitt, and that's just the way things work out. But getting back to the Camille and I thing, you're not going to believe this because it sounds unbelievable, but from the very first time we jammed in the Waldo Garage, we would play guitar lines either in unison are in harmony, never having worked them out, and look at each other like, what the hell was that? And we don't talk about it because we don't want to jinx it. But it's really true. And I can't say this strongly enough. The people that are in bands that don't have that moment when they realize, when they're playing with the right people, that don't realize that, oh, this is how it's supposed to be, a band. That is so amazing and special. We are so incredibly happy and amazed, frankly, that the five of us are still alive and can still play. And man, we love our fans. We love our music. We're so lucky.
I want to say that I grabbed Camille coming off the stage on the legendary Rhythm and Blues Cruise. Or it might have been way back on the Ultimate Rhythm and Blues Cruise for Roger. And I said, Camille, when you came off that bridge and Domino, I mean, that was just the most incredible thing you did. And he said, Carmen, when I do that, I don't even know what the hell I'm playing.
Yeah.
It's part of the chemistry that you're talking about.
It's stream of consciousness playing.
Right.
I mean, it's not. Right. We don't have. We don't rely on music theory. In fact, we play things that when we figure out they sound ridiculous and cool in the context of a song, and then we'll actually sit down and say, "Wait, what are you playing right then?" We'll play it together, and we're going, "That shouldn't work musically." But it does. It's like, and that thing with two lead singers, I don't want to segue into this, although I'm sure you wouldn't mind. But like the band had 3 excellent lead singers, and we have 2 lead singers, and it's a cool thing in a band to have that, I think.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. The band actually did many songs, as you know, that were lead songs with 3 different singers. I mean, The Weight, of course, perfect example, the most famous and powerful of those. Yeah. And that's the way it was, Dave. Yeah. That's the way it was. It wasn't, when the band
was no ego bullshit. It was just, hey, I think this song would be best for you to sing.
Right. Well, there were certain songs that were Levon songs, and the high end went to Ricky Danko. But when they needed someone that could sing a masterpiece, they all looked at Richard Manuel, because he was such a phenomenal vocalist. He was known up and down the Jersey Shore as being an incredible Ray Charles. I mean, just, ridiculously great. Before we move on to the band, I do want to just ask one more thing, a little bit about the music. We have always loved, we love a lot of things you do, but we always loved New Dark Ages. Thought that was one of your masterpieces. How do you feel about what you would elevate as some of your best work?
Are you talking about the song or the album?
Well, the album, really, although you can go anywhere you like with it, really.
Well, that's one of my favorites, too. That one and what we call the Black Album, that's just titled The Radiators. We did it as a joke play off of the Beatles' White Album, but it was kind of silly. But those two, well, I go back and forth. Today, those 2 are my favorite albums. I'm amazed that, people don't know this, or don't seem to know this, but Ed is one of the most amazing songwriters ever. And
yes,
I'm shocked that people don't seem to be aware of that. And I got to co-write with him and then write my own songs as well. And we have such a weird, wide range of, you said something earlier about our sound. We started calling it Fishhead music because in interviews, we didn't know what to call it. It's because we had so many different kinds of things, and Ed was writing a music column in a local rag under the pen name Zeke Fishhead. So we started Fishhead music, and that stuck. And then we came up with all these slogans and weird stuff like starting at 11:11 and too stupid to stop and just like music, only different. And all that came from this silly viewpoint and kind of not seeming to take ourselves too seriously. But trust me, we take the music very seriously.
Oh, yeah. Well, you're seriously one of the greatest bands in the history of rock and roll. And anyone who doesn't buy into that statement, man, just lost the whole thing because the intricacies of what you do, but not only that, the symbiosis of the way you all play together. It's worthy of talking about you in the same interview with the band. And that's a hell of a compliment, to be able to say that, when I started this idea of doing the Tony Mart legacy, 11 years after they left the Mart, Scorsese did the movie. I saw you do The Last Waltz with Don Was and, the Stones guy and all the other people in it. And I, of course, I told you nobody's ever done this Wheels on Fire like you have done it since Levon stopped doing it. But you were just the perfectly right person to go with this young band. And I know you agree it was a good choice bringing this Honey Island Swamp Band into it because they are kind of reminiscent of the band. And we all of us who knew the band kind of felt that way a little bit about them deep down, sort of. Would you agree?
I haven't heard them live as much as many people, but I've felt that kind of thing, that whatever that is, that, I mean, I don't even like using the term Americana, but it's rock and roll filtered through folk and blues and that kind of thing. And then with the mandolin in there, that kind of throws that absolute shade on it. I would agree with that. Yeah.
Now, the thing, though, is what you all do and the Radiators is so New Orleans. I mean, it's the living and breathing New Orleans sound. And we're so grateful that we have you, whether you're going to be the third group at the end or the first group at the end. It's so proud to us that you are there with Bonnie Raitt and Joe Bonamassa. And I can't explain to people how great it is that this New Orleans indigenous fishhead funk music deserves that reign at the top of the music world because New Orleans is, the city that gave the world American music. And, there's the whole story going back with the jazz and the brothels and Congo Square and all that stuff. But you guys are a little different story. To us, you're kind of the rock and roll story. You know what they all say, right? The music that left became jazz. The music that stayed became rock and roll. Well, to me, that's you. The music that stayed.
Well,
right?
In New Orleans, people our age, we were so lucky. We were Earl King's backing band for a long time. So we got to not only hear that era of R&B and rock and soul music that was recorded at Cosmo Matassa's studio and done by, Earl King and Irma Thomas and Lee Dorsey and Chris Kenner and all them. We thought that the hits we were hearing on local radio, we thought they were all nationwide hits. Well, that wasn't the case.
Right.
We got to see those people often and play with them. Reggie was Professor Longhair's bass player for a long, long time, and we all got to play with him. It was just amazing that you didn't just love this music from a 45 record. You could be there right in front of it and actually participate in it while you're listening to that era of music that we're so fortunate to have had, which was, Motown, Stax, the East and West Coast stuff,
right,
and the British invasion, kind of all at once. It was like this era of music will never be this diverse again, and never will it be this good again. And I'm not going to argue with anybody about it because I don't have to, because I know I'm right. But so we got to be part of that.
And it is amazing that you are still at it and doing it, and that's why I can't thank you enough. For you're going to give the blessing to the whole thing with this Tony Mart. We're going to pay homage to our heroes, Levon and the Hawks, and you're going to give the blessing to it, along with all these other great musicians like Mark Mullins and Bob Margolin and Johnny Sanso. These are some of the people that really are still out there making it happen in New Orleans every day. What are you looking forward to on stage, doing the band stuff? Tell me some of the songs that you're excited about doing.
Well, when I started doing this stuff with Warren Haynes and Don Was and Jamie Johnson and Medeski and Taj was on it, Michael Mc, a bunch of people were on that tour, but it was called The Last Waltz 40. I told them that I wanted, the producer guy called me, Keith, and I said, I love that idea, but I'm not, nor have I ever been the kind of guy who learns something off a record and plays it exactly like the record. My mindset is, look, if you want to listen to the record, I think you should. And anybody that wants to try and recreate that stuff like a mirror image of it, that's fine. That's just not me. So I took those songs, one of which is this Wheels on Fire, and Warren and I worked up some guitar harmonies, and I just love singing it. The songs are just so damn good. It's a delight. But aside from the ones that the band members themselves wrote, I do Down South in New Orleans, which didn't make it to the movie, but was performed that night. And I do This Wheels on Fire, and I participate in a bunch of other ones. But I do Mystery Train. Sometimes I'll sing Such a Night, but I don't think I have the right. I kind of so identify that song with that crazy Mac Rebenak voice that I don't love how I sing it, but I sing it fine. And then a couple other ones which my brain is not conjuring up at the moment. I just love doing that stuff.
The Bobby Charles song is one that everybody loves and associates with New Orleans. We definitely are going to want to do that, and so many of the other things that are in that movie, and other things that we want to do. As I've said all along, when we have people of your stature and your creative capability, which is almost limitless, how great you've done over the last 40-some years. Every time you get on stage, I've never seen you get on stage and not do a great job, right? That's never. Like I always say to you, like I always say, you're Malone. You're Malone. Do what you want to do. You're Malone. You're unbelievable.
Well, that's what I do, because you know what? I have just the greatest respect for this music, but I also want to bring my own thing to it if I can. Right. And if the end result, if it sounds like it stacks up, then I'm good. Okay, good. I'm not only honoring the song, I'm doing my own thing to it, so it's become a different thing. Because, I mean, largely music should evolve, I guess. Maybe not all the times, but largely. And I just love doing that stuff. I just love the music so much, and I don't have one particular music I like. I think that's kind of limiting yourself. You miss out on a lot of good stuff if you have a mindset like that, I think.
Oh, yeah. It's difficult to pigeonhole it into a category. That famous interview where Scorsese, says to Levon, Levon names off every kind of influence gospel, the river, New Orleans, this and that. And Scorsese says, so what do you call this music? And Lefon says, rock and roll.
Oh, yeah. That's just it. That's a very wide umbrella that phrase rock and roll covers.
Right,
and I agree with you completely.
Yeah. Dave, thank you so much, man. This is going to be fun because we're going to have, 3 different venues going on this, and you're going to be able to settle in and do 3 shows. Like, in the old days, everybody played these things. What do they call them now? Residencies, right? In the old days, Levon was playing 6 nights a week, 4 sets at Tony Mart. That was the residency.
Yeah, because because when you got a gig and you were a traveling band, if you could stay in the same hotel room for 4 nights in a row without having to move, that was a luxury, my friend.
Yes, it was. Yes, it was.
But listen, I need to ask you something before we go.
Yes.
I just recently found out, I dig and I do research, that there was an I don't know if it was in Atlantic City, but an Atlantic City area pop festival a few weeks before Woodstock, and I've never even heard of it.
That's true. The Atlantic City Pop Festival, I went to it. It was at the Atlantic City racetrack. And a lot of people played it.
Yeah, more people than played Woodstock, and I'd never heard of it, Carmen.
Well, we can get that information for you. The local musicologists have information on that for you, and we'll do that.
Well, I wonder why it's not common knowledge, though, because if I never heard of it, that's something.
Yeah, well, the only thing I can say about that is that it did not it was not successful after the fact. No movie, no publicity. It just kind of died there, and it was not tremendously. They didn't make a lot of money, and they just kind of let it lay there. So it's kind of in the trash heap of history. But we'll get some information out of that trash heap for you.
Yeah, I do.
David,
all right.
We love you. We're looking forward to seeing you in New Orleans. And I'll be in touch with you. I want to find out where you're playing so we can catch as many shows as possible. Where will you be at the fairgrounds besides on your own big stage the last day?
I actually am only doing 3, maybe 4 gigs during Jazz Fest. I just turned down a lot of them just because I want to go to Jazz Fest, and I don't want to. Right. So I may be doing. I'm doing the Wednesday in between the Jazz Fest weekends with the Radiators at the Civic Theater. Then I'm doing the second Saturday, again at the Civic for Anders Osborne's, just me, not the band, for Anders Osborne's birthday bash. And then Sunday at the fairgrounds. And then I may be doing one other, but it's not confirmed yet. So I'm going to be taking it kind of easy.
You won't be killing yourself. Good. All right, we got to run. We're out of time. Dave Malone,
all right.
You know how much we love you.
Y'all.
We love you, and we thank you, and we'll be in touch.
All right, man. Bye.
Take care. Bye-bye. All right, everybody. We went way over time, of course, so we have very little time left to talk about it. I am looking forward very much to that. A very important part of rock and roll history will be reenacted, cinematographic history as well, with Dave Malone from the Radiators and that entire show. The week before, the great Phantom Blues Band, one of the greatest bands in the world, Taj Mahal's band, will be there with Curtis Salgado, one of the greatest, what they call blue-eyed soul singers, the man who taught the blues to the Blues Brothers. That'll be all together at the same time, those 2 weeks in late July, after we do Mardi Gras in July, and we do the Eddie and the Cruisers show on the 4th of July. So until we get there, until we talk with you next time and see you, all we have to say is let the good times roll.
The preceding program was paid for and presented by Tony Mart Presents.
Hey guys, time to get in on the action for the biggest moments in basketball with Prize Picks, America's #1 fantasy sports app. Just select 2 or more players, pick more or less on their projections, place your entry, and win up to 100 times your money. Right now, Prize Picks will match your first deposit of up to $100. Just download the Prize Picks app and use the code GET100. That's code GET100 on Prize Picks for a first deposit match of up to $100. Prize Picks. Pick more. Pick less. It's that easy.